Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. One common practice among couples nowadays is having a joint account in banks where they keep their monies without differentiating between what belongs to the husband and what belongs to the wife. In this video, I want to talk about 5 reasons why you may reconsider having a joint account with your spouse. In the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are things we call the maqasid sharia, the cardinal objectives of the Sharia. These cardinal objectives are 5. They are Hifzuddin, protection of the faith or religion; Hayat, protection of life; Hifzul Aqli, protection of the intellect; Hifzul Nasab, protection of the lineage; and Hifzul Mal, protection of wealth. This 5th one, protection of wealth, implies that as Muslims, our wealth are solely for us and cannot be used by another without our express consent and permission. It also implies that no one has the right to take our wealth forcefully from us, either by use of force or use of other cunning methods via which people swindle and extort others of their wealth. It is in the light of this objective of the Sharia, protection of wealth, that couples must reconsider their decision to have a joint account because of certain circumstances that may arise and lead to the devouring of the wealth of another person without justified cause in the Sharia. The number 1 reason is in the event of death and inheritance. In a situation where a couple have put their monies together in the bank, in a joint account, without separating what belongs to the husband and what belongs to the wife, it usually becomes a big problem in the case of inheritance. As we know, in the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, each person has a fraction of the inheritance of his or a deceased relative. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear in the Quran that a man shall inherit half of his wife's wealth if she did not have any child, either for him or in a previous marriage for another man. And if she has a child, either for him or from a previous marriage, then the husband is entitled to a quarter of the wife's wealth. In the same vein, the wife shall be entitled to a quarter of the husband's wealth if he has no child, either with her or with any other woman legitimately. And if he has a child, then the wife is entitled to 1/8 of whatever wealth the man has left behind. So picture a scenario where the husband has died and the wife is not the only heir to his wealth. The husband is survived by his parents, his father and mother, the wife, and his children, either from her or from another woman or other women. In this situation, it becomes problematic to decide what percentage of the man's wealth shall be shared by his heirs, because the money in the account belongs to both the man and his wife. So if we decide to share the entire wealth because the man has been survived by this number of relatives, then we have done injustice to the wife who is still alive and who owns a share of the money. But then how do we decide what belongs to the wife in this situation? So for this reason, you may want to reconsider having a joint account with your spouse. The same thing goes for the woman. In a case where it is the woman that has died and she is survived by her parents and also her children, then it becomes problematic how to go about sharing the inheritance, what will go to a parent. We already know the fraction that each of the parents will inherit, but then what about the sum? What part of the money belongs to her, and how do we go about dividing this money that belongs to her? So this is the first reason why you may want to reconsider having a joint account with your spouse. Number 2, in the event of separation and divorce. Nobody prays to have a divorce. Everybody prays to have a smooth and happy marriage, but in life, things happen thick and fast. And before you know it, a happy marriage may become a battleground, and each spouse may just want out as quickly as possible. In this scenario, how do we determine the percentage of the money in the joint account that belongs to the husband or that belongs to the wife? So in a situation where it is a matter of talaq, where the husband pronounces talaq, divorce on the wife, what percentage of the money will he inherit? And also, if it's a case of khulu', where the woman feels that the marriage is no longer suitable for her, she no longer enjoys marriage life, what percentage of the money will go to this woman? So in the case of divorce or separation, how do we account for what belongs to the husband or what belongs to the wife? It becomes problematic. This is the second reason why you may want to reconsider having a joint account with your spouse. Your marriage today might be sweet and happy, but nobody knows what might happen tomorrow. We don't pray to have a bad marriage, but like I said, in life, things happen thick and fast. The third reason why you may want to reconsider having a joint account with your spouse is on the grounds of disagreement. There are situations where there is no divorce, there is no death, but all of a sudden, one of the spouses begin to suspect that the other is spending too much from the account, and then disagreements ensue. How do we determine what goes to Mr. A and what goes to Mrs. B? It may happen that there is no divorce, there is no death, but each of them just want to have his or her money back so that he or she could have his or her account separately. In this situation, how do we determine the percentage that belongs to the husband and the percentage that belongs to the wife? Again, remember that one of the cardinal objectives of the Sharia is hifzul mal, protection of wealth. Nobody's kobo should be taken unduly by another, either knowingly or unknowingly. We must be able to account for what belongs to each person. So in this situation, it becomes problematic. And this is the third reason why you may want to reconsider having a joint account with your spouse. Number 4, polygyny. It is possible that along the line, the husband decides to take another wife or more wives, and the incoming wife does not know that the money in the account belongs to both the husband and the wife. So the incoming wife begins to see the fat account and begins to assume that the money belongs to the husband, and it creates a whole lot of issues. So if one takes a second wife, then issues begin to crop up concerning the money in the account. The woman is seeing the fat account, assuming it belongs to the husband, and then in one way or the other, if eventually, for instance, the husband later dies, for instance, then the second wife begins to assume that no, the money in the account belongs to the husband, it is not your money. So the first wife may not be able to claim what rightfully belongs to her. It becomes a problem because the other wives are seeing that what is in the account belongs to the husband, and since there is no explanation as to what percentage of the money belongs to the deceased husband and what belongs to the wife with whom he has a joint account, then it creates a whole lot of issues. We are going back to the issue of inheritance again, but now it is due to polygyny. So this is the fourth reason why you may want to reconsider having a joint account with your spouse. And finally, number 5 is on the issue of gifts. It is natural that people want to give to their relatives, their friends, the downtrodden, to assist the have-not in society. But when a couple has a joint account, it becomes an issue if especially one of them is giving gifts to other people, either to strengthen their friendship and relationship and bond, or to assist those who are less privileged. So it becomes an issue because disagreement will begin to ensue as to why are you spending money from the account like this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Or maybe one of the spouses want to spend on business or on travel. Then it creates an issue between the couples. But I'm focusing on gifts now because it is permitted to give gifts in Islam. It could be the husband, it could be the wife. Although the Sharia stipulates that the wife may not give more than a third of her wealth as gifts to another without the express consent of her husband. So in this case, it might become an issue. So whoever intends to have a joint account with his or her spouse should take note of the following. Number one, the amount belonging to each of the couple must be expressly stated. So as you are putting money in the account, let there be someone taking note, or probably the two of you taking note of how much the husband is putting in the account, how much the wife is putting in the account, and how much belongs to each of them. Number two, get someone to serve as a witness. Let the husband get a witness. Let the wife also get a witness in case of death or disagreement or polygyny or gifts, as I've mentioned earlier. So let there be a witness to sign the agreement between the husband and the wife to have a joint account. The witness should be a Muslim who is upright, who is trustworthy, and would not in any way be unjust to either of the parties. When we look at the longest verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Almighty Allah mentioned these conditions there, that when you have a transaction on credit basis, then let there be a witness. This ayah, the injunction in this ayah can also be extended to this situation. So as you are putting more money in the account, there should be accountability, there should be documentation, and there should also be somebody that serves as a witness who is taking note of the money in the bank. I hope this helps. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.